Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the ADP Workforce Manager training session. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know there might be some folks jumping on a little bit as we go through the presentation. Just want to go over a couple of items that we're going to cover through our agenda today, and then I'll be turning it over to Shayna to walk us through the majority of the presentation. So what we're going to be covering today through our transition to ADP is just a bit of an overview of what Workforce Manager is, which is really the part of ADP where we're going to be collecting time. So our time and attendance component. A little bit about mobile app and the options that we have as employees to use a mobile app feature or a desktop feature. So we'll review those items. How to get enrolled in timeclock. So this presentation is focusing primarily on our employees that would use a timeclock at one of our 4 buildings as well as at our HUD locations. And then clocking in and clocking out, requesting PTO, canceling PTO, and then a little bit about what's next with ADP as we move into implementation. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to turn it over to Shayna. Shayna, thank you so much for taking us through the presentation today.
Thanks so much, Jen. So we'll first review what is Workforce Manager, also referred to as ADP MyWork. So like Jen said, this is really what houses employee time and attendance. So this is where your time card is located, and it is directly linked to payroll. So ultimately how you'll get paid on a bi-weekly basis. Everybody on this call, for the most part, is using a time clock to clock in and out. And you'll see a screenshot here of what the ADP time clock looks like. Really, the clocking experience, I would say, is very similar to our current experience with Kronos. That being said, we are collecting finger swipes, so there's a biometric enrollment, and that's required for all hourly non-exempt employees in our senior living communities, as well as our hourly non-exempt team members in our HUD locations. If you have not already been enrolled in the time clock, there will be a champion at your local community that's going to get you enrolled. It's a very easy process, so rest assured that will be happening soon. Just a little bit of information regarding clock location, go live, transition, things of that nature. Right now, there is one clock that is available at all of the senior living communities, and that is the clock we're going to use to enroll you in the time clock, and it'll be the one clock that is available for our very first and second day that we are live in ADP. We are officially transitioning on Sunday, March 24th. That being said, if you are a night shift employee, coming in at 11 p.m. on Saturday, March 23rd, you are going to begin to clock in and out on that ADP time clock. Thereafter, on Monday, March 25th, Rick Stow and his team from the IT department are going to be deployed to the campuses, and they're going to get all those other time clocks installed. A little bit of information regarding clocking in and clocking out, as well as job transfers. If you are an employee within the organization that has two positions, perhaps you work in personal care and skilled nursing, you are familiar with doing a job transfer on the time clock currently. That process is going to remain very similar to that in ADP. You're going to see on the time clock, there's a business structure transfer soft key, and that's what you'll use to toggle in and out of alternate positions if that's applicable to you. The other thing I just wanted to make mention of is we still have time card exception forms. So in the event you miss a swipe or you miss a transfer, that time card exception form is available to you. Some information regarding PTO, and then we'll start to talk a little bit about how to request PTO. All available accrued PTO and extended leave balances are going to be extracted from Kronos, and they are going to be imported into ADP. However, if you have a PTO request that was submitted on or after and approved for March 24th and beyond, those requests are not being transferred into ADP. That said, those PTO requests will need to be resubmitted in ADP. And if you need assistance in identifying if that is you, you can reach out to your local HR representative or your supervisor. The other thing I really want to stress while reviewing this information is that PTO balances are not going to show right away in ADP. We're working with payroll. We have to close out the final payroll in Kronos before we can transition those balances. So if you could give us some grace with that, but we will make sure that they are in there. We'll jump in, we'll talk a little bit about viewing your PTO and the various ways that you can view that. We are working with ADP so that your PTO balances will display on your pay stub, much like they do today. You can view your available balance on the desktop. So when you log into Workforce Manager, and I have a screenshot here of that, there's a My Time Off tile when you log into Workforce Manager. And if you click on the advanced options, you can see your balance right there. And then just like today, you can also view your available balance on the time clock. So there's a View Accrual soft key. Once you click on that, you can see how much PTO time you have available. Submitting PTO requests, first we'll review this on the desktop version, what that's going to look like. Again, you have a My Time Off tile. You'll locate the My Time Off tile. You're going to fill in the applicable areas and then hit Submit. Couple of important notes to review with that. PTO request
listed as a med.
Someone. If you're not muted, please just make sure you're muted. It gives some feedback. So again, just some reminders about PTO. So PTO requests should be submitted with a beginning and an end time. When you're submitting a PTO request, you want to make sure you're deducting your 30-minute breaks. That way you're not overusing PTO for the day. And I have an example here. So if an employee is working 8 to 4, that's their normal schedule, they would request off 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Again, taking into consideration that lunch break. You can also submit and cancel requests on the time clock, much like today. You'll see a soft key on the time clock called Request Time Off. It's going to prompt you then if you'd like to initiate a new request or cancel a request, as well as check the status of a time off request. When you're on the time clock, you're filling out the appropriate information on the prompts, very similar to the desktop view. It's asking for the date, start, end time, things of that nature. Canceling time off requests, if you're going to do that on the desktop app, you'll notice when you log in, you have a bell in the upper right-hand side of your screen, which is like an alerts box. When you click on that, you're going to navigate to your time off request out of the control panel. Again, that's showing up on the right-hand side. When you click on that, you're going to click on the request you wish to cancel. You'll select cancel, and you'll receive a notification that it was successful. In addition, your supervisor will receive a notification that you've canceled your PTO request. Couple of reminders now that we've reviewed information related to PTO and just some general functionality of ADP Workforce Manager. Our policies and procedures related to time and attendance and PTO remain the same. Please make sure that you're managing your time appropriately. We want to make sure that you are paid appropriately. If you have questions, you can reach out to your supervisor or your local HR representative if you've got questions about the policy. You may still clock in up to 7 minutes before the start of your shift. We encourage that you continue to take your 30-minute meal breaks. And of course, if you need to view the policies, they are located on the Diakon portal. I mentioned earlier, and again, I just want to reiterate this. We want to make sure that you're paid accordingly during this transition. Again, time card exception forms are still available. Should you run into any concerns at the time clock or you do miss a swipe, those should be located at your time clocks at your various communities, or you can see your supervisor or scheduler for one. We mentioned very early on that there is some mobile app functionality, and I just wanted to stress that, as I know many of you have probably seen some of the communications that have gone out, or you've heard it amongst other team members. Unlike Kronos today, ADP does offer some mobile app functionality. So this means that you can request time off more conveniently. I do want to stress, though, you do not have to download the mobile apps if that's not something you are interested in. Everything in terms of reporting time can occur at the time clock, which would be our expectation. This is really just for convenience in regards to requesting time off. And the other piece of that is everything is single sign-on. So you might have heard us talking about Workforce Now and Workforce Manager. Everything is single sign-on, so your credentials are the same to navigate those two areas of ADP.
Thanks, Shayna. Just a couple items of reminders as we move forward in the transition from Kronos to ADP. I know we looked at the photos of the clock. The clock is very similar, as Shayna mentioned, to the Kronos clock. So you're going to be getting your fingerprints enrolled, and you're going to be clocking in just like you do at this point that you do on the Kronos clock. So it's really not different. It's just going to be a slightly different, newer clock. But again, the process itself is very similar. As Shayna mentioned, anybody who would be starting night shift on March 23rd, night shift going into March 24th, you will be the first group that begins to use the new clock at each of the locations. And then thereafter, everyone else will be using the clocks, but that'll be the first group of people that will be using the new time clocks. Please make sure that you are registering to get into ADP. You should have received a registration code to get into ADP that will allow you to get into the desktop version and the mobile app version if you choose to download the mobile app. But it will allow you to get into the desktop version and be able to do things like Shayna mentioned as far as PTO requests, canceling PTO, those types of things. If you have not received a registration code, you can certainly reach out to your HR representative. They can certainly help you. They'll be able to give you that registration code to help you get set up. So that's a piece that'll be important. And then probably just lastly, if you encounter any problems at all, please let us know. We're certainly here to help. So both the HR team, the payroll team, and your supervisors, we know sometimes there can be anxiety with making a change like this and a transition, and we're in it all together, and certainly we're here to help if there's any concerns or you find that there's something not working as expected or you find that there's something that doesn't look right, please let us know. We'll certainly troubleshoot those issues. For the future, ADP, we're at a point where we have transitioned everybody's employee data to ADP. So the first thing that we're going to be doing in ADP is just the normal things like timekeeping, processing paychecks, which are the biggest components, obviously, of a payroll system. But then there'll be things coming into the future. So we wanted to mention some things that we will have capability moving into the future as far as communicating out to either the entire Diakon workforce or special groups within the Diakon team. So we can use that from a communication standpoint. The other piece that's available right at the beginning here is an employee discount program called LifeMart. So that's another piece. As you get enrolled and registered within ADP, you would be getting communications about what they have to offer as well. As Shayna mentioned, again, the mobile app is really an option available. We encourage everyone to get familiar with the desktop first before moving to the mobile app if you choose to do so. But we will provide some instructions and some guidance with the mobile app if that is something that you are interested in. We'll make sure that those guidelines are posted so that if it is something you're looking to use, that you have those instructions to be able to get started. And I'm just going to pause there to see what questions anyone might have for us.
Thank you for calling Diakon's Ministry.
And you can certainly unmute yourself to ask a question, or you can put the question in the chat box, whatever's convenient for you.
I did want to mention just to everybody on the call that this session was recorded, and we are working with Melissa Kindle in our corporate communications office to get this information posted on the ADP Updates website, which is a sector of the Diakon.org website. It'll include the recording as well as the PowerPoint material that we went over. We'll also be getting this information out to your supervisors as well. So if you're looking for a printout or you have questions, they'll have this information as well. So just wanted to make mention of that.
Thanks, Shayna. Just pause one more time to see if there are any questions at this point.
We do have a question at Luther Crest.
Okay.
Go ahead, Eric.
So one of the employees asked for CNAs who don't have Diakon email. How are they sent the link, the code?
Did you hear Eric?
Yep, we did hear your question. So if they do not have a Diakon email address, we would encourage that they provide a personal email address to get the code and get registered. ADP offers extensive security measures, and so a part of that security requires an email address to get registered. And if that's something that the employee has and they're willing to get that then to Sandy and I can work together and we'll get it updated.
Okay, great. You answered my next question, was who to get that to. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Good question. Any additional questions?
We have another one here at Luther Crest.
Okay, go ahead.
Previous time you were using ADP as another job. Didn't Diakon want like transition into that app, the payroll force?
So if she's using ADP for another job, how can she use 2 accounts in ADP?
So yes, she can have 2 different accounts in ADP. The 2 of them are not going to talk to one another. So they're going to be 2 completely separate accounts. And you'll want to use your personal registration code from Diakon to access your Diakon account. If you did not get a personal registration code, again, Sandy's able to get that information to you. That will then link you to your Diakon ADP account.
Okay, so to confirm, it'll be one app but she'll use different login IDs to access different employers.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Oh, we have one other question.
If you're already enrolled in the ADP, not the MyWork, but the other section of it, do I need to re-enroll in that? Or, okay.
So they're a single sign-on. So once you get enrolled in one of either the mobile apps, or if you've gotten enrolled on the desktop, it's a single sign-on. You can access all functionality of ADP with that single sign-on information.
You don't need to change any password in that, or?
I already missed the last bit there.
To view my pay stubs already, do I need to change that, or can I still use that? Is what I'm asking.
Did you already create your account?
Previously, I had it through ADP. I got for months now. I've been able to see my pay stubs through there. Do I need to change that?
Okay, yep. So that is a separate sector of ADP where you can view prior pay stubs. You'll want to use your personal registration code to get yourself registered in ADP. You can also use the Find Me option. But again, Sandy can get you your personal registration code if you didn't receive that. But yes, that is separate.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Are we good?
Okay, I think we're good.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Eric. And certainly, again, we know that there's going to be questions after the presentation today, and don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help and certainly want to get everybody answers to their questions. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, just thank you so much, everybody, for your time and jumping on the call today, the Zoom. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And again, please reach out if there are any questions as we proceed. And thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye-bye.